Christy Solomon here with Christian Concept, my YouTube channel, where we discuss the Bible from the Old and New Testament, and we study our international Sunday school lesson found in Sunday school books around the world, and we use the NIV version of our lesson. Today, our lesson is entitled Call to Prophesy, and that is taken from the Gospel of Luke, the writer who also wrote the book of Acts. So chapter 2 of Luke, Gospel of Luke, chapter 2, the second chapter of Acts, as well as the 21st chapter of Acts. This brings into question a controversial thought on whether or not women should be able to teach, preach, and or lead churches. Well, there's always obviously a variety of opinions, and we know that sometimes they are formed out of their own cultural bias or heritage tradition. But let us go to the Bible and see what Jesus said, and that's what we're here to do. Share the good news about Jesus Christ. So the outline includes 3 areas. One, in the temple, where the prophetess Anna has shared her understanding of what she learned about Jesus Christ, him being born, and that's found in Luke chapter 2, verses 36 through 38. Then we move on to Acts chapter 2, verses 16 through 21, and the prophet Joel in the Old Testament shares how in the latter days, the New Testament days, because Joel was in the Old Testament, in the latter days, the New Testament days, there will be men and women who will be used by God in mighty ways, including to prophesy or to preach. Yeah, that's shared here in chapter 2, verses 16 to 21. And then the third area that we're covering today introduces in chapter 21, verses 8 and 9, we read about how the disciples, including Luke himself, went to the evangelist Philip's house, and in his house, Philip had 4 unmarried daughters who were also prophetess, who also preached in that area. I do believe that the Word of God does mean for women. God is not a God who's only preaching, speaking, saving, delivering, healing, and blessing men. What you say about that? Yeah. So this is our lesson outline today. We find these passages written by Luke the physician, who took severe pains to be detailed and accurate in all that he did, even as a physician. And God used him to continue to walk with Jesus and detail the life of Jesus Christ as it is recorded in our Bible today. So we have a record of Anna preaching, proclaiming, and prophesying in the temple. We have the prophecy of the prophet Joel that is speaking about what God's Spirit is going to do, did do, and has done even today for men and women in these days. And then we have the opportunity to read about Philip and his 4 daughters who were prophetess in the region of Caesarea, who also prophesied. So I hope that gives you some understanding of how God felt about women. I tell you, it gives me great joy. I'm just so lifted up, encouraged to continue on this road, whether man or woman wants to hear, but it's what he's asked me to do, and I believe that I'm trying to fulfill. We had a lesson a week or 2 ago called to follow his calling, and so that's what I'm hoping that all of you are doing, is stepping up to the call, whether or not men or women want you to do so. But the scriptures say, for me and my house, I will serve the Lord. So we start off with chapter 2 of the book of Luke, and we start at verse 36 through 38, and it reads, There was also a prophet, Anna, the daughter of Penuel of the tribe of Asher. She was very old. She had lived with her husband 7 years after her marriage. and then was a widow until she was 84. She never left the temple but worshiped night and day, fasting and praying. Coming up to them at that very moment, she gave thanks to God and spoke about the child to all who were looking forward to the redemption of Jerusalem. What a mighty assignment she had. Then we move on to the book of Acts, also written by Luke in chapter 2, starting in verses 16 through 21, and they read as follows. No, this is what was spoken by the prophet Joel. In the last days, God says, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young men will see visions. Your old men will dream dreams. Even on my servants, both men and women, I will pour out my spirit in those days, and they will prophesy. I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below. Blood and fire and billows of smoke. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the coming of the great and glorious day of the Lord. And everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. And again in Acts chapter 21, verses 6 through 8, the scriptures read, Leaving the next day, we reached Caesarea and stayed at the house of Philip the evangelist, one of the 7. He had 4 unmarried daughters who prophesied. They were those called to prophecy. I'm hoping that this gives you some reassurance as you read the word to understand that men and women were called to prophecy. That was their function. That was part of their gifting to the church to speak on what thus saith the Lord. And we give God glory as he poured out that on anybody he chooses. Do you understand that? God chooses who he wants to use in the gift of prophecy, in the gift of teaching, in the gift of healing, in the gift of tongues. That's on God. That's his choice and his choice alone. So we dare not say Madam A or Mr. B are not called to that gifting. That is from God, and woe unto us who want to deny the fullness and the gifts. I hope that you've been blessed. I hope that this enriches your study, and that you will continue to go forward and grow in grace, grow in maturity, and grow in the Spirit of the Lord. Again, I'm Christy Solomon. Appreciate you tuning in to our Christian Concepts channel. We hope that you will write to us, send us an email, let us know if there's some things that you would like for us to discuss, as well as think about subscribing so that you can be included in our upcoming videos and our other series that we will provide for you.